Right, just a quick stream this morning. This is a follow-up to yesterday's review of the Roccat Suora mechanical gaming keyboard, um, provided free by the Amazon Vine program again. The reason I need to follow up is not because of the keyboard. Physically, the keyboard is okay. Once you get used to typing on it, you get used to the depth without the frame. So if I just explain for those of you that don't know, this is a frameless design, so you can see the keycap straight away. We've got a plastic base, a metal upper. The flex in there is not fantastic because the metal upper doesn't want to flex, whereas the plastic bottom does. But the mating is good, the rubber feet are okay, the ergonomic position is good. The big problem being you can pop a key off extremely easily. The keycaps are marked brown, but they're actually Roccat's own mechanical key switches, and these are called the Tactile Light. So they're trying to be like the Cherry MX Brown. They're trying to be a bit quieter, but they're not that quiet. They are certainly quieter than the Cherry MX Blues that I've got. The keycaps themselves, however, feel extremely flimsy. Can you see this? It's just hollow inside. They're not moulded out of black plastic. They seem to be spray painted in some way. So the actual plastic is quite thin. In fact, I can see F1 through the back. Can you see F1 through the back? You can, or you can see the light area. It's extremely thin stuff anyway. With the F1 then not covered by the external paint, it's really, really thin. They flex when you move them. I've not known that in any other keycap. I've got some really old compact keyboards. I've obviously got this Cherry keyboard here. They just don't do that. Lighting wise, you can have them constantly on or lit, or what they call breathing, which is they just turn on or off, or just all off, and that's it. There are no other options. You can't individually light a key. You can't individually do anything else. I'm just trying not to click things as I'm doing stuff, obviously. The other big problem with this keyboard is anything with the metal bar, so space bar, enter key, the second enter key, the numpad 0. You type with them and you hear a definite springy ba-doing, ba-doing, ba-doing. It's not quality, it's not a click, it's a ba-doing, ba-doing. Not fantastic. See, and I've managed, look, without even knowing, I've managed to put F1 on sideways. There we go. Let me put F1 back on. A bit better. Okay. So the other big problem, and I can't actually show it you, is that the software to control this isn't very good. It's not intuitive. I am struggling to assign things and understand things. You have to go to different parts of different pages to actually create things. A macro is a good idea, the key macros. You initially go in, you can see the light settings, you can see the other key settings, and the key mappings. You click on a key mapping, on the left hand side you can see all the pre-existing profile of macros, and the idea is that you'd think you could click on them and bring one into view, but you can't. If I actually bring up a picture and swap my scene, there we go. So if I get picture, so many pictures of so many things, there we go. So here's a picture, okay? This is what it looks like, essentially. On different pages there are slightly different things, but at the bottom there is a list of the profiles. This is a macro, okay? Now this is the actual macro manager, the macro recorder. So I went and I created a Zealous coding folder bit. I added 2 new macros called start summary and end summary, and they basically do // less than summary greater than enter, and then / and end. So I could just click a button. The idea was I could just click a button. But notice all this, see all this grey, this depressing grey everywhere? Basically means that they aren't to be edited. You know, the fact that I've got that one highlighted for end summary isn't obviously going to change anything. So I don't like this. I mean, it worked when you got round to checking everything out. There is no instruction whatsoever. You just get this booklet, which, I'm sorry Roccat, but I'm taking a whole star off. Because if you didn't see this before, okay, here's the Danish. Okay, so we've got German, and then we've got Danish, and then we've got English. And the English, you get the first 2 are in English. Okay, so plug Roccat USB connector into any free USB port. Okay, get it. The third one, Start Computern op og verbinden den mit Internet. What? Is that German? What is it? It's actually a copy of the Danish. I apologise to all the Danes out there that laughed when I did that. I don't speak Danish. I don't speak German either, so I'm a bit lost on Germanic languages. Halfway through the English one, it just becomes a copy of the Danish one. That's proofreading 101. I mean, I've not even looked if the other ones do the same. Okay, but it just goes to show they don't really care about the English market, which really annoys me. The other document, the other thing that comes with it, is about how to dispose of it. Roccat disposal information. Okay, this is a £70 keyboard. Okay, £70 is a lot of money. Okay, and they spend more time explaining how to dispose of it than how to use it, which really tells me that they don't have high hopes for the quality of this product. Maybe they're just trying to meet some rules. Maybe they're trying to just explain something. Maybe they're trying to let you know that you shouldn't just throw electronics away. Maybe they're trying to say don't just throw your old keyboard away. But this is weird. So that's that. They both come in at just a laminated pouch, by the way, just inside the box. The box itself is just a standard fold-out box with a piece inside. There's nothing special about it whatsoever. The keyboard itself then, what does it have special? Well, there's the game mode button, which when you turn it on, it makes the Windows key, which has actually got the Roccat symbol on it, just be a regular key, so you can assign it into your macros and have an extra key when you WASD usage with your left hand. You've got an extra run, sprint, shoot, whatever key. It also activates these memory 1, 2, 3 keys to do special things. Is it useful? So far, no. Not that it's not useful. Physically, it probably is. But the software to use it is awful. You can't work out how to get... I could not work out how to get this start summary onto a key mapping, because I went into the key mappings and I click on the key I want to assign, which was the insert key, and you can see the insert key has its regular function and it has its game mode function. So I'm clicking on game mode, and I'm double clicking, and I'm clicking again, I'm clicking here, clicking there, clicking everywhere. I could not figure out how to then say, do that macro when I press that in game mode. Just annoyed me. I mean, all the other stuff's fine. There's recorded macros for all sorts, but some of them are absolutely pointless. World of Warcraft was one of the macro profiles I went to, and the macro for attack is just writing the words World of Warcraft. It literally just goes W up, down, W up, A down, A up, R down, up. What? Why? You don't need to spell out World of Warcraft for me. I could type that quicker. You know, what is the point? Very odd. Some of the good useful things were this delayed recording and things, or record input delays. You could record directly what you're typing, which is fine. There's a repeat stuff and there's a loop stuff. So you could automate things like a small dumb bot. You could make it with this software. It would be a pain, but you could do it. I didn't check out how long or how far the macro list is, but you've got this is the list view, but you've also got this square here. The square is actually literally a chain, a sequence, almost like a state change, and it goes left to right, new line, left to right, new line, left to right, new line, and scaled quite well with the screen. So if you've got a large screen, you can maximize it and see quite a lot of the macro, and you can put quite complex things together. I could quite happily see that you could automate mining in EVE Online, for example, with that macro. You could macro mine with this, and you just have to press that button and it would go out, fill your hold with ore, land, unload it into your hangar perhaps, if you could work out the mouse thing, and back. But what else is there to say about the macro manager? Well, there are two parts to the macro manager. If I get rid of this and get rid of this and just show you, there's the actual tray icon item, which is, you can't see this, but it's a tray icon. It's called Roccat Swarm Monitor. Okay, so there's two things. In fact, I can open it here and show you. So there's the Roccat Swarm exe, which is 57 megabytes, give or take change, controlling something. I think your keyboard. Now, before I installed the Roccat Suora stuff, this keyboard worked fine on its own. It worked fine. The machine was fine. Nothing was wrong. Could I say fine again? Anyway. But then there's this Roccat Suora monitor, which is constantly taking CPU. I mean, yes, it's only taking 3% CPU. Look, 3%. You think, that's not a lot. It's quite a lot for something that's doing nothing. The 11 there is OBS recording this. But it's taking always a quarter of a gigabyte of RAM. Not a quarter of a megabyte, a quarter of a gigabyte of RAM. So if you've got, say, a 4 gigabyte machine, you then only have 3 3/4 gigabytes of memory left. Because this thing is a resource hog. Okay, and not only is it a resource hog, but when you boot up your machine and it auto starts, it makes your it hogs your internet connection, it hogs the CPU a lot. I mean, I've got an 8-core CPU. All of them were busy with stuff from that Suora monitor. 25% CPU. It boots up, your machine's got maybe 20-30 seconds, and then that thing kicks in, and it starts taking lots of resource here, there, and everywhere. It really slowed down my setup, my startup, and everything in between. I will be happily removing this Roccat Suora monitor and the driver later. To be honest, because I have the luxury of this being a free item for review, I'm going to put it back in its box, put it on the shelf and keep it as a spare, or at a push if I absolutely have to, for a quiet mechanical keyboard, or quieter mechanical keyboard than my Cherry MX Blue equipped keyboard. Because it's not fantastic at anything. I mean, the frameless design, I can only assume that they've got the frameless design to save you space. But if I put this next to my other keyboard, it saves about 18mm on the horizontal, and only about, in fact I can measure it, there we go, 1.2 centimeters and 3 centimeters at the top and bottom. There's also a slight difference in the distance between the F keys and the rest of the keys. Is that worth it? It's definitely not worth it. It's definitely not worth it. So what other functions did I have that I liked? Well, I liked that I got mute, volume up and down directly there. It made it a lot easier to control things, and during gameplay, things like Arma 3 where I'm getting in and out, or hearing noisy helicopters and things overhead, I could just use this quickly to bring things down or mute that, you know, the whole thing. The media keys are fine. They're controlled with a function key here. You use the function key, and then you've got, you know, your standard home where blah 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 calculator. If I press this, does calculator come up? So this is the thing I found, that it is a bit twitchy. That's actually in a program that won't respond. But if I'm then on the desktop and I press it, there it is finally. I need to press function. I changed the mappings. I apologise for that. By default on mine for some reason. It was just press the key and up it comes. The function key was toggleable, like a numlock key or a scroll lock key or a caps lock key. I've now made it so you have to hold it and press it, but it does its thing. Media is play, pause, stop, fast forward, rewind, and in a PC the brightness button does nothing. Well, actually, now I see. Right, before when I was doing this, this was in breathe mode. That's breathe mode. It's just turning on and off, as you can see, and it didn't do anything. This brightness key didn't do anything. But in the live stream yesterday, you saw that I installed the Roccat Suora software. Now the function key actually makes this gradually brighter until it goes off again. There you go. So yeah, that's fine. But yeah, lighting, bit of a disappointment. It's not listed as an RGB keyboard, but I was hoping that I'd be able to have just the WASD keys and a couple of others lit. I don't like the breathing thing. The breathing thing's okay, it's dynamic. I mean, here we are. You can watch it a second. If I just watch it, it's a boring stream, I know, but there you go. So it's just breathing. It's just turning on and off. It's quite a hefty keyboard. I think they added the metal top plate, just to make you feel like you bought something more than you had. The cable is nice and long. It's a nylon braided, so you've got, you know, fairly, but it doesn't untangle easily. It holds that shape. It doesn't unflex like other ones that I've had done. So yeah, I mean, going forward, I don't think this is a daily driver for a keyboard. I don't think it's a good typist keyboard. It feels a lot like an old style typewriter, not in the fact that the keys are heavy to press, but they have that sort of height to them, the height and you're pressing in and through, because, well, basically, there's no frame. This is the idea of the design, there is no frame. The major problem I have is when I come to pick it up, I have often caught underside of a key and I've flung the key off into the background. The actual build of the keys is very flimsy. They're very flimsy. And the metal bars on things like the spacebar things, they are extremely flimsy. And then the real nail in the coffin is this software. This software is terrible. The software alone is losing 1 star because of the swarm taking loads of resource when I start the system up and not really calming down for at least 5 to 10 minutes. And this is a performance PC I've got. And then the other bit is just the actual, you can't control it. The actual, you know, the macro manager, this thing, is awful. He's really clunky and not obvious what's going on. There's no real flow to what, you know, you're going to say, well, here's your current profile, here are your keys, these are the macros, and that's how they're designed. And I can imagine that, you know, grouping, you know, almost like a pentagon shape working. But you've got the profiles on the bottom, you've got the macro here and the current setting there and the profile, and you think, okay, well, the first thing I'm looking at is the thing that's going to edit. We read from the top left to the bottom right in, you know, the Western world, which is, you know, Germany, Denmark, Britain, all these places on the language thingy, but it's not how it seems to work. You start at the bottom, again, you pick your profile and change your macros, and then go up to assign them to keys, then go up to activate them. It's backwards to me. You go bottom up. No, you don't. You go top left down for things. You present the first thing where people will look first, the top left of the page, surely. But the top left of these pages does nothing. You know, this just let me... This was accessed from the bottom right, first of all. So I've gone to bottom right to come back to top left to add things. It's just backwards. So yeah, that was my summing up. This is the review that's going on to Amazon. So anyone watching on Amazon, you will find more stuff on my YouTube channel, which is Lord Zelous, Xelous. I believe there's, you know, it's up there in the top corner. Megalomaniacboard@blogspot.com is my blog, so you'll find information. I may post screenshots more of this, and the squeaking is the dog. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, puppy. So he wanted to be in the camera, obviously. So there we go. There we go, folks. That's our review, isn't it? Yes, that's our review of this. We're not very impressed, and Max definitely isn't. So, for now, bye-bye.